Hey and welcome to Neverwinter with Aragon. So I have some companions to test out. Recently there were some updates, in particular the Mage Slayer. Keep in mind all of this is the previous server, still open to change. We also get the Spine Devil fix, the Riotous Wrath fix, and then the Paranoid Delusions as well. But I will leave the Paranoid Delusions to their own separate video. I still need to test them because I need to do it for every single class separately. They behave differently there. But I have some new companions to check out, including this Mage Slayer, who I've actually never tested. I did not get my hands on him until now. Along with that, there is the Chultan Hunter, the Blue Fire Eye, Etrien, the Feywild Sylph, the Fireblossom Zealot, the Galeb Duhr, the Skyblazer, and the Stronghold Cleric that I also need to test out and add to my list. This is currently my single target damage companion list, and we use the tests under these conditions with the same stats here. If you have higher stats, better stats, with more item level, more base damage, you will also have your companion deal more damage. However, we test everything with the same stats so that it's all equal. Everything will scale equally up depending on what stats you have. If you have less, they'll all equally deal less damage, and if you have more stats, they'll all equally do more damage. Just be aware of certain situations. For example, the Blaspheme Assassin here requires you to be within like 50 seconds of combat with her continually attacking for her to end up outputting that much damage. So it just takes a lot more time than it is really feasible for her to output that damage. But as per these test rules, that is how well she performs at her maximum damage potential. But that doesn't mean you should be using her. I would generally avoid her unless, say, everybody else in your group also has her and you can run with 10 bleed stacks within the first 10 seconds. I did a bunch of retests as well here just to make sure that the current setup I have matches what damage they were outputting the few modules ago that I previously tested. I think it was module 25 the last time I tested all of these top ones. So I have gone through them, like the Viteri, the Black Death Scorpion, the Blaspheme Assassin, Green Scale Bowman, Honey Badger, Tomb Spider, Swashbuckler, and the Vicious Dire Wolf. So the rankings have changed just slightly. The Black Death Scorpion seems to be performing better than it did before. I'm not really sure why. The duration of the test is over 10 minutes, so that does seem pretty reasonable, and my build is again exactly the same as all of the others. But let's dive into what you're here for, these new companions, and see how well they perform on this list compared to others. And well, the Mage Slayer surprisingly dealing a lot of damage, but he is still very, very rare. So I have gone and done all the tests for them. Again, over 10 minutes on most of them. Unfortunately, the Blue Fire Eye is not great. Only 8,000 DPS. The Chultan Hunter performs very well. Very similar to the Green Scale Bowman. Etrien, however, is pretty miserable. Yeah. The Feywild Sylph, not too great either. The Fireblossom Zealot, he's alright, but I wouldn't use him for damage, that's for sure. I did add his healing there, and he does perform pretty well. At least for party healing, if you are to actually stand within his area. But it's not exactly the biggest, and most people won't really stand in it all the time, especially randoms. So don't expect him to do much. The Galeb Duhr, yeah, also pretty poor, 11,000. But then, the Mage Slayer. And well, he is pretty powerful. 43.3 thousand encounter DPS is what I was getting there. So, yep, he will be very high on the list. We'll sort that in a minute. But we then have the Skyblazer, who unfortunately is performing very poorly. And then I have the Stronghold Cleric. He has all right damage, but still. Let's go and sort all of them then. And we do find out that the Mage Slayer basically gets first position in terms of reliable damage. Again, the Blaspheme Assassin, you need full 50 seconds in combat without her dying, without the boss phasing or moving, in order to get those 10 bleed stacks, and that's generally not practical. Unless, again, you have a lot of people actually using this companion, because those bleeds will help stack each other's bleeds. But anyway, the Mage Slayer basically comes out on top when you put the Blaspheme Assassin aside. And that is pretty surprising. This companion was only just updated. Keep in mind as well, this is only the preview server. This has yet to go live. It's still open to change, but in terms of everything else here, his damage is very solid. Keep in mind, he is melee, so he does have to be right next to his target and attacking, so if the target moves around a lot, he's maybe not that great, particularly versus something that's going to be ranged, like the Greenscale Bowman or the Chultan Hunter. They are very close in damage, and they just sit back, chill, and shoot arrows. They don't really care if the boss moves around a little bit. We can see a quick demonstration of how he attacks here. And yeah, he seems to have like this gloaming cut ability and then just hitting the guy with his daggers. Very much like a rogue would have. You can see he starts glowing like this, and that is because he has that buff. That extra survivability buff, which gives him, as it says here anyway, defense, deflect, and critical avoidance. So he should be a bit more survivable as well than other companions, on top of dealing quite a lot of damage. He just has to be right up close to his target right there. Those of you who are interested in, say, Etrien, well, she does have her Bardic Inspiration, which when she attacks will grant you that buff right there. It's got about 90% uptime. There's about like 1 second downtime. You can see it'll drop off here. And as long as she's attacking, she can reapply it right away. Now this gives you the benefit of 2000 power and 2000 critical strike. And that is indeed ratings. So it will vary depending on your build, whether you can make use of that. But she doesn't have 100% uptime on that. 90%, it's close, decent for, I guess, pugs, random people who are generally not going to have their stats maxed out, but generally for endgame, I wouldn't really use her. But ultimately, surprising to find the Mage Slayer performing very well. I do have more companion tests to get through. I have all of the paranoid delusions for the different classes. I currently removed them from the listing of how I had them, as that will be changing. Again, this is the preview server. I think they're still open to change, but all of them say they have been reworked, as you may have seen in my previous video, the news. So we will get to that. But I do want to retest like the Netherese, Sordial, Eladrin, Dragonborn Grillmaster, Earl the Chicken Mancer, Frozen Galeb Duhr, Avalanas Elite Soldier, and also the Redeemed Fallen. These are a bunch that I was never able to test properly or never had on this character to test. So we'll get to that in the near future. So thanks for watching. Again, companions can be all over the place. There are some great ones, some terrible ones. I would recommend checking the list of the ones you have, and I would not make it a priority to get, say, the best one on the list. It's not like their damage is that impactful when you look at your own. At least if you know what you're doing, you should not rely on your companion to deal much damage at all, to be honest. With that said, a massive thank you to all these channel members for your added support, and we'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.